We're on.
Hi, we're
Hi.
back.
Everything is so. Did the crackling go away on my end? I hope.
I don't hear you. You sound
No.
perfectly fine.
Yeah. No, I'm getting crackling out of your side. So I'm going to get out and come back in and see if that'll
Okay.
take care of the problem. So you get Travis going.
Sure,
And I'm
sure.
going to back out and come back in.
All right. So tonight we have Travis from Strike Lines Charts. Well, I should say strikelines.com, but he does the fishing charts, high definition charts, and waypoints, a little bit of everything. So you need to go to strikelines.com and check that out. But how you doing, Travis?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good, good. Yeah, it's been a little while, but last we were talking, you were saying you've got some improvements coming our way.
Yeah, we've been working a lot on some stuff. We have a couple different product lines. We have the 3D maps that we make, which are we have some kind of competitors in that space. It's like the shape of the seafloor. Actually, there's like a rainbow colored kind of spectrum, and you can see the hill shading and everything. And that's always been a really popular product. And we have those. But the problem with them is that the area of coverage is kind of low. And most of the companies that are out here making these maps are using the same data from the same kind of sources anyway. And so we have been pushing updates to that. We've actually just released a whole round of them this spring for the Tampa area. So we've got a bunch of new coverage on there. Lots of places we had coverage before, inside the bay and near shore areas are much better now. But the main thing we've been kind of working on is trying to expand the other side of our business, which is we own a sonar and a boat, and we do side scan sonar survey. And side scan survey is a little bit different. Some people might be familiar with it if they worked with it on their boats before, but it's ours is like a torpedo we tow behind the boat, and you can see out to both sides like a quarter mile. And using that, we're able to see not necessarily the shape of the bottom, but we can see any type of structure out there, anything that sticks up off the bottom like a rock or a ledge, or up here we have lots of artificial reefs. We can see those things amazingly well. And the good thing about our sonar is it's got a much longer range than the multi-beams which they use for the 3D bottom. So we can really cover some ground economically. And so we're able to fill in the gaps in coverage where so far no one else has actually got it scanned. And we're able to do it in a way that's actually affordable for fishermen with our business model. So that's what we've really been working on. We've
hence the name HD, high definition.
Yep.
And you're saying a quarter mile out each way, where us on our boats, we go 450 feet each way,
If you're lucky, if you can get that far.
You're talking a quarter of a mile. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's like a 5 foot long, 100-pound torpedo we pull behind the boat. It's a beast, but it's an amazing sonar. We just got a brand new one this year, and it's been phenomenal so far.
It's one of the things that everybody's that's had a problem in the past. Is your software, does Garmin let you use it on their machines? Or no?
We used to work with Garmin, but about the time they started playing they bought Navionics, and about that time the third-party chart manufacturers kind of got pushed out. So what we've done though to kind of circumvent that is that the new Garmins, like the 8600s, and the 9000 series, they have an HDMI input on the back of them. So now we're selling this little interface box. Basically, it's like a small Android computer that can plug into the back of your Garmin, and it allows you to run our charts on your Garmin as well as any other app that you want to run. So lots of guys are buying these things. They're using them to watch football on the sandbar on Saturdays, but it also just gives you, it's just basically uses the Garmin as a touchscreen display for an Android computer, almost like a tablet. And so we're fully compatible with the new series of Garmin's again, which is pretty nice. And
that's cool.
It was a cool thing to develop, and I feel like it's pretty good value. It's $799, and you can be fully compatible with your Garmin. You don't have to have a different GPS stuck to your dash or anything. It's right there, fully integrated, and it's really nice.
That's the biggest problem, I run into. I got all these people and, I got a Garmin. I can't use none of it.
Yeah, we've heard that from so many people, and I got so tired of telling them there's nothing we could really sell them. But now we have this interface box, and that makes it fully compatible with all the new Garmins, which is pretty cool.
Well, you're saying with that interface box, they can actually stream TV and stuff like that?
Yeah. Lots of people have Starlink on the boat now, which makes it easy. You just sync it to your Starlink. But even if you have like a hotspot on your phone, you can watch YouTube or stream Spotify or whatever you want to do, and it's just right there on your Garmin display. It's pretty cool.
Those diehard football guys can fish and not miss the game.
We've heard that so many times.
When you put the chip in this unit, does it do the same thing as if it were putting it into the computer? as an
It's
overlay?
it's almost seamless. Yeah, we have an app that functions just like a chart plotter, and you interact with it just the same way you would. You can make waypoints, you can zoom in and out, and change different maps, and yeah, it's pretty seamless.
Okay,
Awesome.
but I guess what I'm saying is, does it do like it would on a Simrad or a Lowrance when you're running your boat?
Oh yeah,
It,
yeah.
it-
It's GPS enabled, and it tracks you. It's just we've tried to make it as much like the built-in GPS that people are used to as possible.
okay.
At the same time, we also we've worked really hard to get our stuff released on mobile devices. I don't think any of our competitors have done this, but all the charts that we sell, you can get them working on your phone or on a tablet, and it's Android or iOS, and we try to be really kind of at the front of it with that. So we have lots of guys that they like to sit at home and kind of plan a fishing trip, and so what we give them is through our we have a partnership right now with the app called Aquamap, and through our partnership with them, you're able to view and interact with all of our charts, on your phone, just like you would with the GPS. And we're about half
something like
go ahead.
that. And what's the cost on something like that?
It's the same. The charts cost, the app is free, and the charts are the same cost as they would be if it was for a GPS unit.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's no subscription or anything. And once you bought it, you own it forever, and it's just you have it.
And it is nice. Sometimes, like, when you're home on the internet, sometimes you like to just scan. You can't cover as much ground as you can on the internet.
Yeah.
So it's nice to scan around. Maybe see a new rock pile you didn't see and say, I'm gonna check that out tomorrow.
Yeah.
It is cool to have that option.
Yeah. We're actually getting ready to bring our boat. We do lots of charter surveys as well. We have this equipment, and up here we're in Pensacola, is where we're based out of, and a lot of fishermen up here will hire us to scan areas specifically for them. They call them charter surveys, and we'll go out there and scan 25 or 100 square miles or whatever they want, and we'll find everything out there and mark it up and give it to them. And we're actually getting ready to bring the boat back down through the Tampa area and then over to the East Coast to do some work this summer. So that's another option that people have. They can hire us to go scan an area. We'll give them the data. We'll tell them everything is in there. We'll mark up every spot, and it'll be their specific stuff.
Now, if somebody wanted you to do that for them, let's say me, I said, hey, I want you to scan like the whole Skyway area. What kind of fee am I looking at then?
It's $175 a square mile, and we have a 25 square mile minimum, so it's like about $4,400 is like the minimum. And we've done huge as well.
Let me ask you this: you got one for Tampa Bay around the ship's channel, right?
Yes.
That's the.
How is that one? I haven't had a chance to put my chip in because the weather up down here, it's been so rough that you got to stick around the mangroves.
Right. That's the Tampa Bay.
Put it in my machine and go out there and check it out.
That's the Tampa Bay Waypoints one, correct? Is that what it is?
That is, yes. But we also just pushed an update to the 3D chart for Tampa Bay. I just sent you guys a video about it too. You can see some of the details. But yeah, we have a new 3D chart for Tampa Bay, which is amazing actually. The imagery from it was collected from an airplane with a LiDAR scanner. And so in shallow areas especially, it's extraordinarily high detail, and it's like I've never seen before. And so we were able to just like maybe quadruple our coverage and really up the quality of 3D data in Tampa Bay. And especially in areas where it's less than say 20 feet deep, it was a major upgrade. And there's actually on our website, if you go to Tampa Bay on our website, you can see I did a little chart review of it, like a video. So I'll walk you through it and show you where all the improved areas are.
Now you got what you sent me that Holta's got. Is it got any of the stuff for Tampa Bay, or was it just? Yeah.
There should be a video in there. It's 3D Tampa Bay update, something like that. It should have that info. It's just.
And how long is that one?
It's too long to watch right here. It's probably 10 minutes or so. But if you go to our website and type in search Tampa Bay chart, it'll pop up, and the video is right there on the product page, so you can give it a watch and see. Okay. That's the old one. Actually, it gets better than that. But
we got a guy on here, Captain Scotty's Fishing Charters, Sharon Morgan, and he put a phone number down.
I don't know, Sharon, because Sharon's above it saying hello.
Yeah.
Is that Scotty Rowe?
So I don't know.
I like this video that he's showing right now. It's something that a lot of people don't realize is how it doesn't take a lot of structure to hold a lot of fish, especially up here in Pensacola where there's less hard bottom. But even down where you guys are, a rock or a ledge just a couple of feet high. It's all it takes to really bring in a tremendous amount of fish, and so the game's always been finding those spots. You know, one good spot is just worth its weight in gold, and I think that's something that we do better than anybody else. Is really is in any given area we'll find everything that's down there, and you know, it really gets you hooked up with this stuff.
That is cool footage to see. But you said on the 3D stuff, they actually did that from an airplane, huh?
Yeah, and this is brand new. It came out. I think they finished it in 2023, and it finally got released. But yeah, it was I believe a NOAA contract for some reason or other. But yeah, it covers a lot of the Florida Big Bend. In the Florida Big Bend, it goes out to about 9 miles offshore. It's a huge swath because it's so shallow up there. But yeah, lots of the shallow areas of Tampa Bay, especially on the south end and the intercoastal waterway areas, up to I'm not super familiar with the different parts of Tampa Bay. There's a lot more in the north as well, but especially out there near the Gulf side, it was improved tremendously, and it's really pretty stuff.
So which chart has that on it? That's the 3D chart you're saying?
Yes, yeah. With the lighter skin, that's going to be the Tampa Bay 3D chart, and it's just updated this year.
Okay, now that one covers all the ship's channel and everything.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So if I've got, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sergio.
Well, what we need to do is when you're coming down here to do some stuff, let us know a little bit ahead of time. We'll try to get you out and we'll do a show with you.
I would love to have you on the boat. It'd be a great time. You know.
See how it's done. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think our viewers would love to see that because we have three different channels going, three different shows going on now. One of them is the Fishing Academy, where we would use something like this to educate people, which is good for you because all of a sudden people say, oh, look, this is available. We need to buy it.
You know, and I mean, to be honest, for even guys that have a side scan sonar on their boat from Simrad or Garmin, you know, it's a smaller system. That's how I got my start. Honestly, was on a Lowrance HDS with a side scan, scanning over near in the Big Bend area, and we started mapping out ledges. And so yeah, if you have the time and the willpower to do it, you can really do some mapping on your own too, especially in shallow areas like in Tampa Bay. And yeah, I'd be happy to show people how to do that. That'd be kind of fun.
So if I have the Tampa Bay 3D chart already, can I get that one updated to? Yeah,
for sure.
How do people do that?
If you have it on one of our mobile devices, basically all you have to do is log in and just the update will happen. Just re-download the charts, and for guys that have it on a chip,
yeah.
So I think you can let us know and we'll send you an updated one. I think it's like a $75 charge for the updated chart just to handle the shipping and handling and the processing of the chip. But yeah, but we'll get you another one. It's worth it right now. It's worth it too to do the update because it was a major one.
Okay. And then
and also we're kind of good. If you ask for a discount, we'll usually give you one. If you ask and call, So Tanner will answer the phone and just be nice to him, and he'll hook you out.
Oh, he's a super nice guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's the best.
I got all three of mine updated because I had all three, but they were old. They were about 3 years old, I guess.
Yeah.
So when did you do all this new stuff? Just recently?
Yeah, just recently. I mean, it's we've really been working hard since we're pushing the mobile device market now. We really went back through our whole catalog and rebuilt everything from scratch, kind of, and so we just probably in the late fall of last year we had our whole catalog updated, and now they're kind of starting to filter down to the individual products.
So when you say for the mobile, so now let's say somebody doesn't have your chips at all, they can buy this and have it downloaded to their phone.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize this, but every phone now has a GPS chip built into it, and it's a good GPS chip too. And so these things work even when you're offshore. Through the app, you are able to download the chart to your phone. It's actually downloaded, so you don't need an internet connection. You can go offshore and be out of range, but your phone will work basically just like your GPS chart plotter on the boat. Right. And, people stick it to the dash or hang on to it and navigate, find your spots and everything.
Oh yeah, I had my machine go out on me one day, and the phone came right out. That was the chart for the day.
Yep. Yeah, it's I just wish the screen was a little bit brighter sometimes. Your fingers get wet and it's kind of tricky to work on, but we're just trying to give people options though.
If you have it on your phone, let's say, you're at home, can you hook it up to your laptop so you can play around with it and get spots or?
So not easily, because it's difficult to hook. We don't have an app on computers yet. So right now, if it's the app is for your phone, it's either Android or iOS, and there's no real easy way to view it on a computer screen. But to be honest, it's about as easy on the app as it would be on a computer anyway. All the functionalities there, you're tapping instead of clicking.
Yeah. It's just as you get older, your eyes aren't as good.
Yeah, you just got to get a bigger tablet.
Oh, hey, that's why on my boat every year the sim had a Lowrance
bigger
and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Hey, the old 9-inch had 12 in. Now I'm at 16, and if I could put the 24, I put a 24 on there.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was younger, it was the first one I ever got was like a 6 or 7 inch screen. Then I moved up to 8. Then I thought 10 was something else. Now I'm 12, and that's probably about as big as I can go comfortably on my boat.
It's a lot of our customers. It seems like 16 is like the new normal. Like the dashboards are getting bigger. They're expected.
I love my 16.
Oh yeah, they're great.
That's on my Skeeter, but on my little 18-foot beaver tail, I got a 12-inch.
Yep. Yep. It's changed a lot. It's kind of the way fishing's gone. Technology has really become a huge part of it. And we kind of forget. I remember as a kid, my dad had the old chart plotter with the paper spool in it. The little thing was burned through there, and
paper
you had to change
and
the
water.
paper. Yeah, it was
Actually,
wild.
I used to like the smell.
Yeah,
the little smell that came off that, because we used to run when I was growing up. Everybody had the Furuno 501s. I think they were big machine, and you could hear it.
Yep.
But it was accurate. It was real accurate.
Yeah, they're amazing. The technology's the fundamentals are the same, but just the presentation's gotten so much better. And I wouldn't really know how to fish anymore, especially offshore without a multifunction display on the boat.
For younger guys just getting into fishing, their learning curve is so much easier now. It's ridiculous.
When I was growing up, we had the Redneck GPS. What it was is you went out of Clearwater Pass till the building looked a certain size. Then you shut your motor off and you put your ear on your gunnel. And if you heard snap, crackle, and pop, means you were over live rock.
That's a good point.
You moved a little bit more. You did the same thing. Once you heard the snap, crackle, and pop, you started fishing. We started catching.
I realized that years ago. We spearfish as well, and we also have little ROVs. But that noise in the water is so distinct. I've always wondered what that is. But if you're there, that there's going to be some fish.
You can hear it. It sounds like milk on it.
Yeah, it's like
the last time I heard that noise was up there in A channel. I was in A channel and actually heard that noise, and it's like it's almost like water bubbles popping on the bottom of the boat. Like that's what kind of.
Does anybody know what that is? Is
that noise? It's all the life microorganisms in the rock that create that sound. And that's how I was brought up as a little kid. The guys that were teaching me everything, that's how they taught you. Hey, you shut everything down, put your ear right on the gunnel. If you hear snap, crackle, and pop, because the hull would pick it up and amplify the sound.
Yeah, I've mentioned no one's ever even thought about that. A lot of people have never heard of this thing. We're crazy, but it's loud. It's a distinct noise.
It is. There's spots when it's really good that you could be just standing up and you hear it. It's just coming off there. Like when I was younger, one of the things we used to do, if we were running offshore, if all of a sudden you seen a bunch of flying fish come out of the water, you need to stop right there and start bottom fishing. Or if you've seen sea turtles.
The bad side to all of this new technology is that in the old days, you might not find the same spot, but maybe some. And now
you pick it apart.
People go out there and they nail it, and they just don't give up on it. And that's because I remember I used to go out with a guy that had a lot of money, and I was the real poor guy, but he had a Loran A. I don't know if it was an oscilloscope. And you had to put the two little lines together, and it gave you one set of numbers. You turn the button, and it gave you another set of numbers. And it took you almost 10 minutes to find out where you were.
And get you within a quarter mile, roughly.
And then Loran C came along, and it would give you one number, and you turn the button, and it gave you another number. You had to cross-reference it on the chart. And then eventually it came where it gave you the two numbers together, and you had an idea where you were. And then whoa, GPS came along. And that was it.
I remember when I was younger, going out with this guy in his boat. He was an older, good fisherman and all that, and I was pretty young. And going out in the bay, he would line up like a range marker with a certain house rooftop
Yep.
to get that. And then when you looked over your shoulder, you had to have whatever house or whatever it was lined up. So when you got those two lined up and you had the distance right, it would be over your shoulder over here, and then you were in the right area.
Yep.
And
in the right area, not on it.
Area.
Not
Yeah.
on
John.
it.
The area. You know,
But man,
Not-
we would catch large mangrove snapper in the bay, like to 20, 21, 22 inches. And that's how he would line up.
Yep.
but George, let's so we keep let's do one of the fishing reports.
Want to do Dawson's?
Huh?
Want to run Dawson's?
Yeah, let's get Michael Dawson.
Hi guys, Captain Michael Dawson here at Patriot Guide Service here for Anclote's Fishing Report. Fishing has been absolutely phenomenal as it normally is this time of year. Kind of out here now, already done catching bait, seeing if there's any tarpon around. I'm not seeing too many tarpon yet, but it's going to be any day now they start showing up. But other than that, fishing's been absolutely phenomenal. Trout on all of our beaches right now, whether it's Honeymoon, Three Roker, or Anclote. Any of the deeper pockets on these islands is loaded with trout right now. Besides the trout fishing, the redfish bites have been absolutely on fire. Lots of redfish in these shallow mangrove flats still. More seem to be on the mainland than on the island, but there are still a few fish on the island. Taking a white bait, cutting the tail off, just making a small little piece of it has been the key. But as soon as that bait dies, it's no longer working. It has to be alive with the tail cut off has been the key for these redfish lately. Snooker around everywhere right now. Not in full force yet, but they're on the islands, they're on the beaches, they're out here on the mangrove lines. A little bit everywhere, so there are fish are everywhere, but they're not congregated yet. But there's still plenty of fish to be caught. Other than that, we're just out here waiting for tarpon to show up. Typically about mid-May is when we start seeing them. Getting ready for that. Happy to see a few fish around, so I think it's going to be a great year for our tarpon fishery out here. Get out here, have a good time. Weather looks absolutely phenomenal this week. Flat class days. Easiest sight fish and nice fish out here. Captain Michael Dawson, Patriotic Guide Service.
Got it.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you,
Mike.
Michael.
It's
This is the
cool.
best time of year.
It is cool seeing those flamingos. Those are pretty cool looking.
I just wish that the wind would decide to slow down for a while.
You know, as soon as it stops, you'll be wishing it would blow again, though, when it's 98 degrees outside.
Well, you know
Well,
what?
just give us 5 miles
I
an
don't
hour.
mind a breeze.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'll
it's a
tell
little
you,
bit.
in Tampa Bay, we've had 14, 18, 20 mile an hour winds
Yeah.
on a steady. You get one day or a day and a half sometimes, or if you're lucky, you get one morning, and then by 11:30, it's going crazy again.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm launching out of St. Pete, and it's been coming out of the east relentlessly lately. And it's like I was having a hard time keeping anchored while I was catching bait. It was just blowing like 18, and the waves were kind of breaking. And I was like, "Give me a break here already."
Kidding.
Now,
Yeah.
Travis, how often? Is it you? How many people you have doing all this scanning stuff?
I've got 2 crews right now alternating. We have one boat. It's a big Hatteras, like a 53 Hatteras. We work off of, and I'll send a crew out, and they'll go. It's 24 hours a day once you're out there. They'll typically go out for 2 or 3, maybe even 4 days at a time. As much fuel as the boat can carry. If the weather stays good, we'll be out there scanning, and they come back and swap out crews, and the boat heads right back out. So we're doing this time of year, especially before fishing season, we're doing a lot of work.
And then who does all the downloading and getting it all put into the?
That would be me. I'm the guy. It's art. I can't trust anybody else. You know, you're scrolling through this sonar data, and it's just sometimes it's kind of an art form to know what's a school of bait or what's the actual reef, and I don't want to offload that to anybody else. And to be honest, I actually kind of enjoy doing it too. It's like treasure hunting, you know, going through this stuff and you find just is gold down there.
Right,
you know?
right. I can understand that because it's your baby. It's your baby, you know, and I understand that completely. That's the pride and your ownership right there.
Yeah.
Totally understand that.
Yep. And like I said, a lot of people hire us through these charter scans. I enjoy working with those guys too. You know, it's fun to have the back and forth to help them pick an area that they should scan, you know, based on what I know and what they suspect. And, you know, it's really fun it's a really fun job. We love it up here.
But now when you do something like that, like let's say you're going to redo Tampa Bay Ships Channel, give us a little bit of an insight of what's the procedure for you to be able to get that mapping done right.
Yeah. So Yeah,
Oh.
no problem at all. So we, like I said, we'll ahead of time we'll decide the area we're going to scan, and I build a route on the computer here in the shop. So it's kind of like mowing the grass. You go down, you turn, you come back, turn, come back. So by the end of it, you've done all these strips, and you can get full coverage of the area. So we program in all the routes in the GPS ahead of time. We get set up on it. The autopilot starts driving the boat, and autopilot follows that route perfectly. And then we have the sonar. Like I said, it's 115 pounds. It's a monster, but we lower it off the back deck of the boat. We have a big electric winch, and depending on the depth, we lower it, down to the water. It usually runs about 30 feet deep. In the bay, it'd be pretty shallow. You have to keep it just right underneath the boat. But and then we just troll along, at 6-7 miles an hour, letting that thing ping and do its thing. And we can do 25 square miles in about 8 hours, I guess. Yeah.
It's pretty
They
good.
were recently doing a survey up in the bay. They had 2 boats going, one on the Tampa side and one on the St. Pete side, but they must have been on autopilot, like you're saying, or whatever. But I had to move out of the way because it was ridiculous. I looked up. I'm like, okay, he's coming right at me.
They're on a route.
I'm like, okay, you're still coming at me. I got to move.
We run into that all the time offshore, and my captains will call me like, "There's a guy in front of us, and he won't move. Is it okay if we go around?" Like, well, of course, we're looking for fishing spots. Those guys might be looking for who knows what, but but I'll guarantee that they're following a track that their boss made, and they don't want to get off of it. So they're hoping you'll move first. Yeah.
This is just like 2 weeks ago. I was like, oh my God, look at this boat. He's coming at me. He's still coming at me. I'm like, I got lines out. I'm spot locked. I'm like, and then I had to reel in. I was like, okay, I got to move.
He probably would have stopped if he's awake,
Right.
Well, hey, you never know.
You got to watch.
You
Yeah.
never know.
He might be dozing off or talking to his girlfriend on the cell phone. And not paying attention.
The biggest issue we run into with that is that it's these ships. You have them in Tampa as well. I mean, these 600-foot long ship, they are way faster than you think. They might be going almost 20 miles an hour, and you think that you're going to pass way in front of them, and the next thing you know, they're just upon you, and they won't stop for us. So we definitely get out of their way.
Yeah, they can't stop. It takes them like a mile to stop or something.
Oh, yeah.
Out of curiosity, just thinking, you find wrecks maybe that are not listed anywhere or things like that?
Yeah, that's our bread and butter. Yeah, there's in the Panhandle area, we're not blessed with as much hard bottom and natural bottom as you are down there. So up here, since the 70s, people have been dropping artificial reefs out there. They call them private reefs, but it used to be Volkswagens and farm implements, and these days they're dropping. It's kind of standardized. They're put down pyramids, and they put down these things called chicken coops, which is some people might have seen them. It's a big, like dumpster-sized chicken cage that they use to transport chickens down the interstate, like on the back of a semi. It's just a big metal rack. And for some reason, those things are just the best fishing devices I've ever seen. One dumpster-sized chicken coop on the bottom of the ocean can just bring in tons and tons of fish. I mean, it's amazing. But that's kind of our whole thing. Is you give us an area or anything where we look, we're going to find a lot of stuff that no one's seen before, and we're able to pull it together in a map really quick for you.
How accurate does it look on your charts with the size scan that you're using?
It's accurate, So the way that we do it is, like I said, the data itself is kind of hard to interpret. So I'm going through that. But what I do is I mark up everything that I see. As I run through it all, if I see a ledge, I'm going to trace it out. If I see a rock or a rock pile or a hole or something, I'm going to drop a waypoint on it and I label everything. So what I see on the data is what I put on that chart for you. And so what actually ends up going on your display is like outlines and waypoints and lines that trace the structure that we see, that are labeled so that it's easy to understand on your GPS when you're out on the boat. It's tough to interpret the sonar data sometimes. So what we do is we put it in a format that's just dead simple to understand. And basically, if you drive your boat on top of one of our lines or our points or shapes on the on your GPS, you're going to be on good bottom and probably on fish.
Now, like looking at your charts right now, like if somebody was going to buy one and they were interested in fishing inside Tampa Bay, you have the one that is a Tampa Bay, like, I don't know, 400 or something spots, but then you have the Tampa Bay 3D chart you're saying, or the HD chart.
So the HD stuff is I'd say like this: if you're in Tampa Bay wanting to fish inshore, that Tampa Bay 3D chart that's been updated is the one to go for. That's got the best, newest, the most coverage. The old spots, the waypoints chart from Tampa Bay is getting kind of outdated.
Okay.
Now, if you're anything outside of the pass, anything offshore, it's going to be those hard bottom HD charts. They're phenomenal, But we haven't done that type of mapping in Tampa Bay yet. Maybe this year, but so with inside the Bay, you're stuck with the 3D stuff, which is you're actually not stuck with it because it's really good. It's really good inshore.
But that's what you would lean towards instead of the spot chart. The 3D chart is more stuff for you to find, basically.
Yeah, inside Tampa Bay right now, that 3D chart's the way to go for sure.
Okay.
All right. So hopefully I'm gonna be able to, when I get back from the Keys, we're going to the Keys to film for a couple of days next week and then take 4 days off. When I get back, the weather should be good. Put that sucker in there.
I actually did a video with your chart last time we had you on the show, or we actually had what was his name again?
Tristan was on before. Yeah.
But last time when we did it, after that, I went out and actually did a video to put on our show, and I showed here's where they dredged the channel.
Yeah.
And then you can see on the chart, here's where they dumped it all, and it's 3 miles long, and there's all your limestone and everything that they dug up. I said, so now, and then I showed them, I had the screen split so they could see both, and it showing up. And then I fished and caught a fish right there, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah. A little where the plan comes together.
All right, let's get another fishing report in a minute. Let's get Scotty Rowe.
Sure.
Hello, everybody. This is Captain Scotty Rowe from Charlotte Harbor. Wow, what a great week on the water. Lots and lots of snook everywhere in Charlotte Harbor. It doesn't matter if you're on the flats, if you're in the canals. Another thing that's flooded in the bay is for table fare is those big mangrove snapper, catching a bunch of those. And some of them are up to 14, 15 inches, which, that's huge for inside the bay. That's usually something you find offshore. Trout bites tapering off a little bit with the warmer water, but we're still getting them. A lot of jacks roaming around, just fun stuff. Another thing that, of course, happens this time of year in summer, the big tarpon have showed up in Boca Grande. For all you young guys that want to pull on something big, that is the place to go. Crazy stuff. A lot of little juvenile tarpon roaming around in Charlotte Harbor. I ran into some up on the flats, schools of about 10, 15, and gin clear water was absolutely awesome. And yeah, we hooked into a couple, boated one, fun stuff. Cobia, I haven't personally run into any, but I'm getting a lot of reports that the cobia have flooded inside the bay. Guys are running into them on some of the big reefs inside Charlotte Harbor. So that's another thing to keep an eye out for. Did a little fun trip yesterday with a few captains. I actually don't guide offshore, but some of us inshore guys get together every now and then, and we go out and get some grouper and snapper. We ran about 45 miles outside of Boca Grande yesterday, and we literally wore out the red grouper and lane snapper, mangrove snapper, vermilion snapper. We got sharked a few times, but that was kind of cool. It's neat to see. So everything's going on. Fun times out there. Tight lines, everybody. We'll talk at you later.
Thank you, Scotty.
Nice report and good mix of fish.
Yeah, really.
The first time I met Scotty was, I hate to say it, was like 2004. I was filming for Bright House in those days, and he was just getting started, and we caught 100. The first day, the 2 tarpon we hooked got eaten by shark. So we stayed Saturday night, and Sunday morning got out, and I hooked a 185-pounder, and we landed him out of his little Hughes 18
tarpon.
Yeah, tarpon. But
they get 185 pounds. Oh my!
And it took us over an hour and a half. And what he was doing, big hammerhead, he kept circling the tarpon the whole time while I was filming to keep the hammerhead, because there was a huge hammerhead. He wanted to eat that tarpon.
Yeah, that's an intimidating tarpon, though. That's
now that's a small tarpon. They've been catching them out there over 200 pounders.
Yeah.
Really? We don't have tarpon up here. That's crazy to me.
No, I mean, 185, that was real big, but
Yeah.
now they're catching them 195, 200, 205, a 215 not too long ago. Yeah.
Like inshore light tackle, that kind of fishing for tarpon that big?
Oh, we were using, back in those days, we were using 50-pound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what, 80 or 100 pound leader?
Yeah, it was like, I think it was 80-pound leader, 8 foot long. So if he tail whipped you, you know, and
Like a live bait in front of him on a circle hook or something like that.
that one we
Brad?
caught him, I think, God, I'm trying to think, might have been a real big threadfin.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's what that one was on.
What blows your mind is, you know, like my biggest one I ever fought, I was by myself, and that was on a large threadfin. But what blows your mind is you can catch a 150-pound tarpon on a little pass crab that's no bigger than a quarter, which is amazing. But my biggest one I ever tangled with, it was probably over 200. I was by myself. I had a whole rig set up. I was probably about 23, 24. But they had a quick release. Remember that, like when people used to tube behind the boat, and there was a mechanism that you could pull to release the tube. So I rigged my anchor. I rigged my anchor up to this quick release, and I had a float on it. So when I was by myself fishing, if I hooked into a big tarpon, I would just pull that, and I had the line rigged to the back of the boat. Pull that, it would release me, and I would get up front with the trolling motor and steer it with my knees while I was fighting the tarpon.
Yeah.
This thing, I fought it for over an hour, and a crab trap got me.
Oh,
at the
man.
very end. Yeah.
That's all I could think was it's going to be a little mangrove tree or something he's going to get around behind with a crab trap.
Crab trap got me.
Man.
And we went through the bridge a couple of times. This thing knew what it was doing. And then the one time it was actually running towards the fishing pier. So I put my bail, I opened my bail, free spool. I actually jumped on plane, went past the fish, and then started pulling towards the pier to get him to turn away from the pier. But he got me beat on the crab trap. I didn't see it. And then he got on it. And then I felt the line rubbing on the crab trap. And that was it was a 2-second thing.
Yeah.
That was it.
You got to see him, though. He was jumping and carrying on. You got to
I had him float. If I was with somebody else, like driving the boat, I had him float twice. Usually they're done. But because I was by myself, by the time I would get close, it rested for a few minutes and it would take off again. The old saying, if they rest 5 minutes, they get 10 more minutes of fight.
Oh, yeah.
I just, you know, to me, I love catching. We catch them here in the Bay off and on. We got one a couple of times already on the show, little 30 to 50 pounders, and you catch them on light tackle, and that's fun. And a lot of them, you get 2 or 3 jumps, and then they either break you off or they spit the hook. But we have landed some. In fact, George and I, we were up in Tarpon Springs with Michael Dawson, and we did a trout show in the morning, and then he said, "Hey, that you want to have some fun and end the show pretty good?" We went in one of the canals, and we landed 4, George, or 5.
I think it was 3 or 4.
Yeah,
3 or 4.
And the 30 to 40 pound on redfish snook rods, 15-pound test. But that was fun. But it was in a canal. It was like a contained area, and they weren't going very far. And that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
I've caught them on like 2 or 3 years ago. It was consistent coming back to the docks. There was one little rock pile area that every afternoon they were rolling, and they good ones, anywhere from like 75 to about 125, and so a large white jerk bait was actually working. So we were taking the basically 15-pound, 20-pound braid inshore rods and catching them on that. And it was a blast. And, if you crank the drags down, you could actually catch them on that. And I only had one reel get smoked by them, so it wasn't too bad ratio-wise. But like Sergio was saying, nowadays, I have nothing to prove. I'm all about, let me catch 3 or 4 of those 30-pounders and have fun with those.
I mean, I enjoy those. A little 30-pounder, something like that. That's enjoyable. But to sit there and fight this 50-pound tarpon, I'm past that stage in life.
It's work now.
Yeah, your back starts to catch up to you a little bit,
I caught one. Well, I've caught more than one, but my biggest Goliath grouper I ever caught was 375 pounds, and I'm done with that now. That
I would do that by cleating them off on the boat and just hauling them out with the outboard. You know, that's a
Well,
lot
you
of
know,
fish.
I've got a show in Spanish that we did with the, oh, what's his name now? That he's got a big show doing this gigantic fish. We went out with him out of Boca Grande, and the first Goliath that we hooked, he snapped my big Okuma rod. I had a
Yeah.
100-pound braided line. I mean, he just snapped it. So we got we tied together two 30-foot dock lines, put another hook on. We were using about 10-pound bonitas, and I tied it to the side of the T-top, to the bar.
Oh, yeah.
And that boom, boom. I brought him up by hand, a little bit at a time. I got the picture, and he was about over 400 something pounds. This thing was huge. And I mean, I got him sitting on the water, and I'm holding, by his head, and you can see we used a 24-aught hook with this bonita on it. And, but hey, I don't want to do that again.
yeah.
That wasn't fun.
I went out in my buddy's boat. We went offshore, and he had never caught a Goliath. And one of the reefs offshore of Egmont was holding a bunch of Goliaths, and it was just loaded with them. So what we did on the way out was we caught some mackerel. So I put a whole mackerel on, and I dropped it down with, I think, like a 4 or 5 ounce lead to the bottom, put it in the rod holder, and cranked it just off the bottom. And I said, just leave that there. That'll be your rod when it starts to go. Now we're fishing, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm like, oh, here it comes. When this thing doubled over, it pulled the whole boat sideways. When this thing started swimming, we were anchored. This is back a long time ago. We were actually anchored up. This thing pulled the boat against the tide and everything, and it was all he could do to get that rod out of the rod holder.
Oh, let's get back to Travis's stuff. So,
Yeah.
So Travis, what do you got? What do you see in the future with technology and what you're doing?
You know, I think we're going to start to shift towards being more of a boutique kind of offering for guys that are looking kind of a higher end thing. Guys are looking for something that nobody else has. You know, we got this really cool equipment, and I'm getting kind of tired of competing with Garmin and C-Maps. I think that we'll be able to do for you something that nobody else can. We'll actually come down there, and wherever you are, we'll make a map for you. We'll find wherever your fishing grounds are, where you'd like to know everything's down there. We'll come down there, we'll map it for you, and we'll give you just the best fishing map ever. That's been a business model. It's worked for us really well up here in the Panhandle, and I'm pretty excited about taking it to the rest of Florida. You know,
Custom.
Yeah. And aside from that, I think I enjoy pushing the mobile device market as well. You know, I feel like lots of fishing charts so far have been something that's been kind of limited to working on Garmin or Simrad or Lowrance or Raymarine. I do kind of like to make it a little bit more accessible. We have a lot of our customers are interested in having them for mobile devices, and we're in a position to be able to kind of make that happen for everybody. So probably by this time next year, we'll have actually a Strike Lines app specifically for working with our charts, and it's going to be like a by fisherman for fisherman kind of thing. We're pretty excited
you got
about.
the guy that's got the Garmin and really wants to use your charts. Hey, mobile app is the way to go.
Yeah. That same mobile app that works, it's for your phone. The same app installs in that interface box for your Garmin and plugs it right in the back of it. So it'll be kind of a one-stop shop for it.
Because the last time I saw something like that, somebody on YouTube, but they were talking it was over $2,000.
Yeah, I think that we have a competitor that released something similar. They sell like a Simrad NSO unit that accomplishes the same thing. It's like $5,500, I think.
Yeah, it was very
That's
expensive.
a lot of money. And Hilton's now is doing something similar as well. Hilton's has got a interface box that'll work with Garmin's that does like the chlorophyll and the sea surface stuff for the marlin guys, and I guess they're kind of really angled towards guys from out of Louisiana, fishing for the billfish. But we're trying to bring that kind of the bottom fish market. And
so right now, like if somebody buys your chart, they can download it to their phone right now. You have that capability?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And is it an app, or you're saying the app's going to come out?
Right now we have this to prove that this was going to work. We partnered up with this app called Aquamap. Aquamap is just a mobile navigation app. They're extremely popular with sailboat guys and cruisers. And so I really like the interface of their app, and we went over. They're Italians. We went over and visited them and came up with an agreement. So for a couple years,
good.
It's great. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're bringing fishing charts to that platform now. And we've proved that it works. It's been one of our best selling products the last couple of
Okay.
years. And so at the end of this next summer, our contract with them will be up, and by that point we'll have the Strike Lines branded app to do it for
Right.
you. But
So
it'll
right
function
now-
in a very similar way. But right
So
now,
right now,
we're up and
if somebody goes on your website, they're going to download the AquaMap app, basically.
Yep, they're
And
gonna you buy a chart on our website. You'll get a key code. You
Mhm.
download AquaMap app. You plug the key code in, and you're good to go.
Okay.
Now, well, once your contract is up, though, it'll continue to work.
It will. At the same time, though, we're gonna all those people that have bought it for AquaMap, they will just automatically work on our app as well. We'll just roll it over so that all those
Migrate
purchases
it.
will work. Exactly. Yeah. AquaMap will continue to function, but we'll start doing it on our own also.
Well, Travis, we want to thank you very much because we still got about 3 more fishing reports to do. But
It's been a pleasure.
tell us how is the best way somebody wants to get a hold of you, get questions. Any
Best thing to do
questions
is
they have?
strikelines.com. We got a phone number on there. Call us up. Tanner's a human. He answers the phone every day. You guys know him. We're always here to help you out and answer any questions.
Okay, I appreciate it, man, and thank you, and God bless you for you doing a great job.
Take care. Appreciate it.
All right, take care, guys.
Have a good one.
I hope you
So-
enjoyed our guest today. I think he's done a real great job for us.
Good information. And I mean, we've used his charts in the past, both me and Sergio, and the 3D that we used before was great. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the new one does.
It's good. Yeah, I've got the new ones. I just got them in. I had all 3 updated. I sent them in, and I forgot what it was. It wasn't very expensive, and I got them all 3 updated. So I have.
So we got about 15 minutes of
Let's
fishing
get Michael
report.
Haynes on.
Good evening, Captain Mike Haynes, Fishbones Charters out of Crystal River, Florida. Up here in the Crystal River, Homosassa area, fishing report. Well, this week's been pretty productive. Talking about trout, redfish, and snook. I know snook season's over, but they're still fun to catch and still fun to play with. But the trout bite is definitely picked up. It seems like they're in their spawning mood again. And it's been about 6 weeks since the last time they were up in the flats, and they're definitely up there now. So watch that moon phase. Pretty much after the full moon, a couple days afterward, they're going to be spread out again. But they seem to be concentrating in the flats again, ready to spawn. And the technique that's worked this week is basically popping corks or floats, and have about a 2 to 3 foot leader and about 3 to 4 foot of water with a jig head and either shrimp or small pinfish or mud minnows. Those seem to be the keys, baits that they're keying in on. Tried some artificials, some jerk baits and jigs and stuff like that, but it just seemed to be better bite on the live bait than the artificials. And even with the winds blowing as they have, west winds, which kind of make it difficult here, there's not many places you can hide. We were just kind of drifting with the wind and letting the baits actually float behind the boat, which is a little odd for some people. Usually you throw with the wind and bring it back to the boat as you're floating, but we kind of threw it behind the boat and just kind of popped it as we were going along. And it seemed to be the ticket. It worked very, very well. Caught a number of trout, along with small cobia, shark, grunts. So it was very, very productive to do that, floating across about 3 to 4 foot of water just outside the mangroves, and very, very productive. The redfish bite is a little slow. They are there, but best way I've caught them is actually going in to the mangroves as soon as you can on a low tide. Most of the low tides are about a foot or so, so it depends on how your boat can run and how shallow you can get. But I've been getting in there as early as possible on the incoming tide and just sight fishing for them. Just kind of running the edges, running the mangroves, looking for schools of mullet or the redfish themselves. And they're only been in 3 or 4 at a time, kind of grouped up. There haven't been large numbers of redfish kind of schooling just yet. We're still a little early for that. It should probably happen near the end of this month, beginning June, July, where we'll start getting those larger schools of redfish roaming around, where you can post up and catch a number of them quickly. So it's a little slow, having a little patience. Two of the best baits seem to be pinfish and mud minnows. So if you can get a hold of mud minnows, they are definitely the key. It seems to be the better bite on them out there. Or if you got traps and you know where some mud minnows are, you can just definitely set your traps. That's what we've been doing, and catch a lot of good sized mud minnows up near the mangroves. But that seems to be the trick. Low tide, it's just a little easier because some of these higher tides coming in, these fish haven't been in the mangroves for months because of the winter. So as soon as that tide gets up, these fish are darting right inside the mangroves, and they are feeding in there on the crabs and shrimp and everything inside the mangroves. So once that high tide gets up there, these fish kind of disappear. They're not hanging on the outside or anything. They're way up in these mangroves. So far back you can't get a line to them. So definitely fish the lower tides. It seems to be a little more productive on that. And as the higher tides come in, you move out for trout. Same thing with snook. Been finding a lot of the snook are staying off the mangroves, especially low tide. They are anywhere between 10 to 15, maybe 20 feet or 20 yards off these islands. And they're hanging around the mullet. So when you're starting to see the mullet jump, starting to see the school, and they're way off of the islands, that's where you need to be fishing. So definitely pull back from the islands and look around. Don't just go right up to the island and start fishing, because more than likely the fish are behind you. That seems to be the pattern right now. And again, until the waters warm up a little bit more, they really won't be hanging in the trees too often, until that water temperature probably hits about 85, 86 degrees. So, and white bait, if you got it for snook, seems to be the key around here. You got to have some white bait, and that means you have to go out and chum them and sabiki them up, because we just don't have the schools that you can cast net here. So you've got to go find your own. That seems to be definitely the key, some white bait on there, or mud minnows. Those two baits, for some reason, those fish are just really, really keying in on. So have a good week. This is Captain Mike Haynes, Fishbone Charters out of Crystal River, Florida.
All right. And
That's a good detailed report.
yeah, we better get Tony Franklin's in too.
Yeah, keep them rolling.
Keep them rolling.
Hi, Captain Tony Franklin back with you with this week's fishing report. Well, kind of doing the fishing report on the fly this week. It's been a long week last week. We had a lot of stuff going on. The fishing was generally good. Just a lot of things going wrong with rods, reels, minor things with the boat, things like that. You know, typical boat ownership. But let's get to the fishing report. We still had a really good bite of trout in 6 feet of water again. Been mackerel mixed in there with them, so there's been good action there. This week we've caught redfish right up in the top of the mangroves at the top of the high tide. These fish are at the very underneath of these mangroves. They're tucked right tight in there. You've got to get it right in that pocket, but if you do, you'll catch a redfish. So we've had a good week with redfish. We've had a few snook cooperate. The snook bite is still off and on. They're kind of finicky. Really haven't showed up very much so far this year. Silver trout bite, once again, really good with a speckled trout bite in 6-7 feet of water, like I was saying. Also this week for other action, the black tip sharks have moved in, mixed in with the mackerel and the trout. So there's an option to catch all three in some of these same places. So the fishing in general is really good. We're fishing live scaled sardines netted by the bridges. They're starting to get some on the grass flat, so there's bait out there. So we're using a 10-pound braided Power Pro line with a 25-pound fluorocarbon leader. We're trying to use the smaller baits on a #1 hook to try to hide that hook as best we can. There's a few mangrove snapper around. As summer gets closer, there'll be more. So the action's getting great. It's time to get out on the water, catch you some fish, tight lines, and I'll see you next week.
Great job, Tony.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate
Super
it.
job. All right, let's get Pam on.
The trout bite has been absolutely amazing. Look at the size of her. Woo.
Maybe
There
not.
was more.
Maybe not.
Give it a few.
Hi, it's Pam Worth, your kayak angler, coming to you from Tampa Fishing Outfitters. I've been fishing the Nature Coast lately this week, and the bite has been off the charts. The redfish are hitting hard, battling all the way to the end. They're not just reeling them in. You've got to fight them in, especially using light tackle, which is a lot of fun. They've been hitting spoons, gulp shrimp, the new penny color, as well as a white paddle tail, white colored paddle tail. I prefer the gambler, but pick what you want. The trout bite, don't forget it. Still finding great trout. Again, they're hitting topwater plugs. They're also hitting that white paddle tail. So you've got some hot low fronts coming up, rain, some of the best times to get out there and go fishing. Tight lines, my friends. Second red of the day. He's finally starting to give up. Maybe not. All right, here's my second fish of the day. He did not want to come in. Let's say a little over 29. The trout bite has been absolutely amazing. Look at the size of her. Woo.
All right, now let's get George.
Let's get that George guy on there.
Get George on quick.
Running out of time.
Hey guys, this is Captain George Hastic of Fish Hunter Fishing Charters, coming to you from St. Petersburg, Florida. Well, right now the mackerel have been spotty up in the bay, you know, up towards Gandy and along some of the reefs and some of the hard bottoms. There's definitely some there, but if you want to look for higher concentrations, get down towards your Skyway area. There's definitely more around the piers and around the little reefs down there. Of course, out along the beach. The snook and redfish action right now is basically go to an area, mostly under the mangroves. Well, in the areas where I'm fishing, down by the Skyway area, the Tierra Verde, they're actually out on the open grass flats, out away from the trees. At least the redfish are. Got a little bit better bite going on down there, in my opinion, for the redfish. You can catch quite a few. Your Weeden Island area, it's pretty much you're working the mangrove tree lines. You're pulling them out from under the mangroves for the most part. There's been some, you know, out a little bit off the mangroves, but it's catch a couple, move on, catch a couple more. So it's not like back in the day where you could sit and work a school. Now they're getting some of that type of action down there in the Tierra Verde area. I've heard even across the bay over on the Apollo side that they're getting a little more of the redfish action that way over there too. Now the snook have been under the mangroves for the most part. You might see a few roaming here and there, but you definitely got to get those white bait and or cut bait to the edge of the mangroves, or if you can do it, get it up under the mangroves, skip that bait under there. Or if you have a current and an opening to where you can cast up current and let the current drift your bait under the mangroves, that's also a good tactic. It's very natural presentation. The trout right now, moving water, just like snook, moving water is definitely a key for the trout. You want to get to an area where you've got some nice grass, especially if it's like grass with a lot of sand holes, that type of thing with some moving water. That's been the key. Free line and white baits under a float. Those two tactics have been working really, really well with that moving water. Also picking some up on the sea shad and that chicken on a chain. It's been working really good for me, that color. And then I like any of those type of baits that have a nice bright chartreuse tail with a mix of glitter in it to catch the sunlight. That's been really working really well. Keep your eyes open. There's still some pretty large jacks. You can get your average size jacks in that 3-pound range, but there's some larger ones that are running 5 to 10 pounds that are roaming on the flats. And you know, when you see them, you'll know the bait will be just getting hammered, big explosions. Also, sometimes the ladyfish do that, but to differentiate, the explosions are much more larger when those big jacks are hitting, and it's really, really explosive time. I've been hearing a little bit about some black sea bass being caught here and there on the rock piles. Some mangrove snapper have been moving in. The mangrove snapper are ready to take white baits and or shrimp, either one. So if you don't want to catch white bait or buy it, Shrimp will still get the mangrove snapper. Just look for your rock piles and anywhere from like 8 to maybe 12 feet of water. All right, this has been Captain George Hastic. Have a good day.
Good job, George.
All right, we just made it. We just made it.
Oh yeah, just a minute or two. So, hey, we hope everybody enjoyed the show today, and we're trying to bring in people from the outside that can give us some good information. And I think we learned a lot about strike line today.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just, hey, if you're trying to catch more fish, these are tools that'll help you catch more fish.
And what's good is he's always updating his stuff.
Yeah, now we need to tell everybody that we're not going to be on the air next week. I forgot to say, because we're going to be in the Keys filming for a couple of days and then taking about 4 days vacation. So next week, there will not be a show.
No show Monday night.
All right. God bless everybody.
Thank you for watching.
George, thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Take
Halter,
care.
have a good night.